Hi Not Board Gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Now in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the solo experience of this game right here, which is Mythwind, coming to us from Open Owl Studios and designed by Brendan McCaskell and Nathan Lige, L-I-G-E anyway. This has already been out on Kickstarter, and it has a second Kickstarter coming on the 26th of March. The link will be in the description below. Now, Mythwind is a 1 to 4 player, very definition of a cozy board game, where you are going to spend your time, depending on which character you choose, carrying out tasks for that character and improving your town. You're going to build buildings, then you're going to replace those buildings, you're going to start generating more income and resources, you're going to use the magical beings around the town, you're going to have adventures and quests as well in here, all the time kind of improving, I'll say, the town and the character that you choose, and you get to choose a number of different characters as well. I'll say it really is the very definition of a cozy board game. If you imagine, I suppose, a video game like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, etc., this is it in board game form. You can set it up and play it for 20 minutes and put it away, or you can set it up and play it for hours and hours and put it away. It really is that kind of game, but it is going to be divisive. One of the main reasons it's going to be divisive is that there's no true end game here as well. You just keep on playing the game until it reaches a natural conclusion, and then you can reset it, start it again, use slightly different characters or have different adventures, make different choices. So there's lots of replayability there, but as I say, the divisive nature for some people is going to be the fact that there's no end game. You don't win or lose, you just play the game. And that's a little bit different for board games, so I completely understand why it may not be for some people. So normally, when I talk about a game, and I'm ready to review it or preview it, etc., I've got it all set out on the table in front of me. I've not done this here because, in rather an ingenious kind of move from guys at Open Owl, the game is structured in such a way that it takes almost no time to set up. Once you've played your first game and you put it away, it takes less than 5 minutes to put it away and less than 5 minutes to set it up. Then it's all ready for you to start playing again from the box itself. So once you open the box, there we go. You've got all your various manuals and your little books for each of the characters. Now there are 4 characters that come in the base game, and then there's a 5th one that also comes in the expansion, which is sent through as well, which I've got down there. But yeah, I've got the crafter, the farmer, the ranger and the merchant here, and you can see that they come with their own character trays, and that's these trays here. And you're going to choose a character, and each one plays very, very differently, but still you get to do the main actions on the town board itself. And you can see the trays, and again, once you set them up, you can switch characters out throughout the game, come back to the previous character or character you played before, and you've saved its board state as you go with this really good kind of tray system. So those are the characters. Then we have the main part of the game itself, so it's this tray here, and in this tray I've got the 3 constituent parts of the board. Okay, and again, this is saved, so you can't see this here, but there are various buildings that I've already got in play in my town. So we're going to set this up on the board thusly. Here we go. And it creates a really nice picture on the board. And again, you can just see one of the board pieces, the board's end board here, and this is kind of the building column here that you're going to start building buildings from. So that goes there. You're going to choose a character, and so let's say I want to choose, I don't know, the ranger, which is this one here. I'll choose that. I'll take his miniature, which is here. Take the lid off my character tray, put all the other characters back in the box. There we go. Put that away, and bingo. That is literally the game set up, along with this here, which is kind of the tray of all the cards that you're going to use in this particular portion of the game, all the money, and the various dice that you're going to use as well for the sprites and the citizens, etc. Put that there, that goes there, put my ranger on my board, here we go, and get his cards out, which are all kept inside, and his money that he's got left from the last time I played him. And that is the game ready to play. Now, normally I wouldn't set a game up in the initial states, but there we go. You can see that even with an explanation, it took about 2.5 minutes to set that up, and it takes about the same amount of time to put it away. So that's kind of the overview on the game and the setup and teardown as well. Components wise, I think it's you know, it's bloody great, as you've seen from the trays that I've got here. The fact that everything has a place is really, really good. In the box itself, there are other cards which will come out throughout the game as you progress. You're going to add them to certain decks and other things, and secret envelopes that you get to open at certain points when the game prompts you, but you're all going to get to open them at a very, very different time. And as I say, the aim of the game is just to kind of move along, progress your village, progress your character, grow a little bit more. You're going to do it season by season and year by year. So there are 4 seasons in a year. When you completed a full year, you do end of year stuff, and then you can change your characters if you want. You can change them after a season, I suppose, but you can change your characters if you want, and that's a really good way of kind of experiencing kind of what you do and how the different characters work. So in terms of the gameplay, the overall aim is to look at the map and start thinking about what buildings you can build on there. And buildings have different requirements on there. You will start off with some kind of level 1 buildings, and then you will start upgrading those buildings. You will replace the buildings on the map, which will give you certain things, and there could be things that you'll get for, or resources, etc., that you'll get for utilizing that building. So say, for example, I utilized a fishing ground. I could swap either one of 2 resources for one of another resource, basically. Or if I use the longhouse, I could get a coin, or I could upgrade my skills, because each character has skills that you will get to upgrade throughout the game as well, and you can place them on your board. If I use the inn, I can spend 2 coins and get any 2 dice, because again, you can have dice that you can pull onto your board from the town itself, which allow you to take some of your actions on here. Or maybe I want to go on a quest or an adventure, there's a space to go and do that. And all the while you're doing that in your town actions, you've also got your character actions as well. And as I say, each character is ever so slightly different. Now, here's my tray for the ranger here. Now, the ranger works quite different from a lot of other characters in the fact that most of his actions will take place away from the town, because he's going to go on various quests and adventures and hunting trips, etc., to gather resources, which is going to bring back the town to sell, and then that will give him the ability to then buy more buildings, to upgrade his buildings in the town and start progressing his town. And all the while you're doing this, there are quests and side quests and adventures which have a progressive story. Then you're never going to experience all of that in one game, but it's going to gradually move forward all the time. And I think that is a really interesting concept, in the fact that you are playing this kind of gentle story. It's not a massive narrative, but the narrative is there to kind of help you along, to start unlocking some of the other cards that are in there, to start unlocking some of the secret envelopes that are in there. The element of dice play in the game is relatively short. You're going to unlock various dice, and they will have kind of these kind of orange citizens or these blue sprites on there. And you're going to roll them, and you'll put them in the town place, and then you get to at some point recruit them, and that will dictate kind of some of the actions that you can take in each of your characters' abilities, etc. And what you can do from that is dependent on character by character. So as I say, you know, the ranger goes off, and he goes off hunting for days on end, and he'll gather resources and bring them back. The farmer has a kind of Tetris style thing that you're planting and removing weeds from, and planting and then selling those goods, and also adding machinery and livestock into there. The merchant, you're taking orders, you're gathering resource to create the stuff, to fill those orders, and each one plays differently, massively differently. So you could, as I say, play the game through with one character if you wanted. I don't think you'd really want to do that, but you could play it through with one character if you wanted, or you could play it through with multiple characters. And what I got in a position of doing, so I'm kind of year 4 now, I think it is. So and that's about, I would say, about 4.5 hours playtime, something like that. So I'm on year 4, and I've used different characters all along. So I used the farmer, I've used the ranger, I've used the merchant, and I'm just about to start using the crafter now to see what the crafter does there. And I think that, again, just provides this element of tailoring the game to what you feel like doing. And once you get to understand those characters, then you understand what kind of game you're going to play. So for me, it's a really quaint and kind of cozy game. Now, I'm not normally a fan of games like Animal Crossing or the other ones, the Stardew Valley, etc. They're not really my jam as any of the video games I played. So I wasn't too sure whether Mythwind was going to click with me. And to be honest with you, I find it utterly charming every time I play it. From a solo perspective, if I don't want to play a heavy game, I know I've got limited time maybe, I can get this out. I can play 20 minutes, half an hour, I can put it away in no time whatsoever, and that's absolutely fantastic. And it kind of scratches a particular itch for me in terms of just being I keep using this cozy reference, but it really is this game that is just warm. There's no real combat in the game per se, so I'm just progressing ever so slightly each time I play. But I completely 100% understand that this game is the very definition of a game that will not be for everybody. So let's break that down. The things that kind of I think are going to make this game not for you as a gamer. So first of all, as I mentioned, the game's got no end condition. So it's a fully open game, and I know people have put like 70 hours into it and maybe got to the end or not got to the end and reset it and started again, and they've had a great time doing that. But if you're looking for a very definite end condition in a board game, then this game absolutely is not for you. There is no win, there is no lose, there is just progress until the natural conclusion comes to an end. And that is absolutely not the reason that a lot of people play board games, and I absolutely get that. So that game, for that reason alone, if the idea of a narrative game, it's not strong narrative, but if the idea of a narrative game which is so gentle and so forgiving that it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to do what you're doing. There's optimal and suboptimal, but there's no right or wrong way to do it. So it's a very forgiving game, and it doesn't smack you on the wrist, and it doesn't say, right, you've lost, go back and do better. If that's not for you, if you play board games for a very definite end, nothing wrong with that. That's most of my board games. I will look for an end game condition. Then I will say off the bat, this game is not going to be for you in any way, shape or form. So it really is a case of understanding what you're getting when you go into a game like Mythwind. Go and do the research on whether it's for you. The other thing is that, you know, as I say, the game's got multiple characters. So in the base game, you've got 4 of these character books, and because each of the characters play ever so differently, then you're going to have to learn a new character if you want to change characters in that. Sounds daunting, and you look at these books and they're fairly thick. You're looking like, you know, 30, 40 pages worth of information in there. So it sounds daunting, but it's not. Because in reality, they don't know which character you're going to start with in the game. So a lot of the information in each of these books is repeated from book to book, just in case you decide to not start with the farmer and start with the merchant, maybe. Yeah, the more kind of more difficult one to play. So a lot of the base information is absolutely in the game in terms of what in kind of the flow of the game and what happens. But yes, each character does have their own way of doing things. Now it feels daunting that, you know, God, I want to change characters. I've got to read a new rule book for it. But it's not, because you will understand from after playing your first character, you will understand most of how all the characters work. There's certain actions obviously bespoke to them that work differently. But I will guarantee you that kind of 10 minutes spent with 5 to 10 minutes spent with that book, if that, and two turns, you'll absolutely know everything about how your character operates. And that is the really good thing about this, is these books kind of just build on what's in the main rule book. They're not kind of rewriting the rules for you. So I know it seems daunting that there are 4 rule books, and if the idea of reading 4 character rule books, if the idea of reading new rules for a new character is not your idea of fun, then do be aware of that. But it's not as ominous as it seems, and I think that, you know, it's not really of any detriment. I think had they not given you all the information, and it's all there, but had they not given you all the information that's in these books, you know, the amount of feedback online or negative feedback online about not providing the right kind of information would far outweigh the fact that there are books for each character. You don't have to read them all in one go. Of course you don't. But, you know, just know that if you are playing a new character, you're going to have to do that. Look, the game takes up no space at all. The storage solution is absolutely fantastic. When you first get the game, there's no, if you're just punching it to put it away, there's no real indication on where things go. So you have to play the game to know where things go, because each character works slightly differently. Slight niggle, slight annoyance, but not the end of the world either. There is absolutely zero combat in this game. There are skill tests, but there's no way that you could call them combat. So if you're looking for a conflict type game, and again, this probably isn't for you. Now, I have seen, you know, some views out there saying, you know, it's a bit of rinse and repeat, and I think that's a little bit incorrect, to tell you the truth, because yes, some of your actions may feel initially when you first start playing the game like you're doing the same thing, because your options are limited, because you haven't opened up the spaces on the board to build buildings. But all it takes is an hour's worth of play, and suddenly things have opened up, and it doesn't become rinse and repeat, because what happens is that your characters will start to operate in a very different way. You will build their skills on there. You will have a look at whatever it is that they've got to do, whatever you're doing on here. You'll build a strategy out for that, and you can adapt to that strategy. So, you know, I think anybody that said it's rinse and repeat or a little bit repetitive, I just don't think they've played it enough. to really form that kind of opinion on it, because the more you play the game, the more you switch characters around, and the more you're going to have to do on the game. I can absolutely get it that, you know, it doesn't feel meaningful when you first start the game. What you're doing, you might feel a bit like you're flailing in the wind. Doesn't take long for that to kind of kick in. So, you know, play through at least a full year and the game will start to open up for you. So that is another thing as well, is it is a slow burn start. So if you, as a solo gamer or with other people, you know, you want to jump straight into the action, you want a powered character straight away that you can start using, it's not going to happen when you first start playing the game, or when you first start using a character. If you're using characters in a different part of the game, later on in the game, then yeah, you know, your buildings and things on there are going to switch things up for you, but you're still starting your character from scratch the first time you bring them on. But again, it only takes a couple of seasons and that character is starting to get into their flow and get into what they need to do. But you're not going to get that straight away from this game as well. So there's lots of reasons why this game may not be for you. You know, God knows, I did not think it would be for me when I got it. I thought I would play it and probably think, yeah, you know, it's okay. But in reality, it's become a really, really good way for me to kind of just zone out, have a Zen-like experience, gradually progress my game and the board state, and then put it away, and then maybe, you know, come back to it a week or so later. And as I say, I've spent kind of quite a few hours playing this now, and I know I'm not going to get rid of Mythwind, because for me, it kind of hits a need that I didn't know I had, which was just to encompass this kind of cozy fireside feeling and just play a game and just have fun playing it. And I think that's the key thing, is, you know this before you go into your game. Do your research. Don't just listen to one voice out there. There's no one voice right in reviewing. Of course there isn't. You know, we're all absolutely individual, and we all have our own biases and our own opinions and our own way of enjoying games and our own way of playing games and reviewing games, etc. But don't just listen to one voice out there. Go and do some research. I know some big reviewers that are a bit so-so on Mythwind, some big reviewers that really like Mythwind. It surprised me, and as a solo gamer, it's a really Zen-like experience. You can drop people in whenever you want as well. You know, there's not a problem if you want to have somebody come and join you for your game, your solo game, and then, you know, they go off and their character, you know, goes off and they don't come back again and you carry on. It's built that way so it scales that way. It doesn't even scale, well, it does scale a little bit, but it scales that way so you can have people drop in and drop out, or just do it yourself and switch and change characters. So yeah, Mythwind, it's a unique feeling and a really pleasant, cozy experience that absolutely will not be for some people. And I really want to stress that. For me, I was surprised by how much I really enjoy playing Mythwind and just how calm it makes me feel. But for some people, because it doesn't have an endgame strategy, because you have to get to know your characters first, because there are a few rule books to read, etc., it's just not going to hit that spot for you. Don't worry, and that's okay. And, you know, the game was never going to be designed with everybody in mind. It was never going to please everybody. You know, I think it's a beautiful experience, a calm experience to play, and it just gives me an element of joy that I'm not failing, I'm just moving forward. Maybe suboptimally, but it just gives me that feeling of joy that every time I'm doing something on here, things are inching forward. You know, I love Lacerdas, as you know. I love big, crunchy, complex games. This is not a big, crunchy, complex game. This is the kind of equivalent to a spa bath, basically. You know, you're relaxing, you've got candles around you, you've got the bubbles coming up, and you're just having a zen time. And that is exactly what Mythwind is for me. And, you know, I think the story is, or the narrative is, it's nothing special. It's, you know, imps and sprites and elves, etc. Nothing special, but there's enough there to make me want to progress it and move it forward. I get excited when I have to open a new secret envelope or turn over a quest card or an adventure card or an event card just to see what's going to happen to my characters and to my town. So yeah, Mythwind. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But it's absolutely not for everybody, so please go and do your research before you jump into Mythwind. But if the idea of a cozy, arms wrapped around you, big fleecy blanket wrapped around you, gaming experience appeals to you, then go and check out the Kickstarter, 26th of March. The link is in the description below. I'm going to be looking at what new stuff they've got for Mythwind, because it's not leaving my collection. I think it just fulfills a need I didn't know I had in board gaming. But do check out a lot of different voices and make up your own mind. So, thank you very much for watching me on this journey through Mythwind from Open Owl Studios. I say, coming to Kickstarter on the 26th, the link's in the description below. From a solo experience, a pure joy to play if you know what you're getting into, but if the idea of a game without a definite end condition, with variant rule books to read, and with you know, just the fact that you progress but you don't necessarily kind of have massive breakthroughs each turn, if that's not for you, then by all means, you know it's not going to be for you. There's nothing you can do here that is going to change your thoughts on this game. But for me, purely joyous and pleasant and zen-like experience, one that I am happy to keep playing. I kind of fallen in love with Mythwind a little bit. So yeah, thank you for watching me on this journey. My name's Mark, this is Not Board Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out our other videos. One final thought, if you can't find anyone else to play with, then there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Right, I'm going to take my ranger out on some expeditions. And yeah, I'm going to go back to my joyous world of Mythwind.